Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, and I want to welcome you to the latest episode of Conversations from the C-Suite. You know how we do it. This broadcast will begin very soon, sharply at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the meantime, we want to get people on this conversation because we don't want to have a conversation by ourselves. So please take a few moments to invest in the power of three. Invite at least three friends, share this with at least three groups so that we can have other CEOs to join this powerful conversation in the C suite. So grab your favorite beverage and get ready to begin another episode of Conversations from the C suite. You won't want to miss tonight's episode because, of course, we're going to be making CEO moves. So invest in the power of three, invite someone to the call, invite someone to be a part of this conversation, and share it out to at least three people and send it out to at least three groups so that we can have some great conversation tonight. So I'm going to take a few minutes to get ready myself. You know what to do. Hang tight and invite. Good evening. Conversations from the C-suite. Your being a CEO, Barnes, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the place called CEO. Good men to be the CEO of that so they can be better CEO in their business. Here in every woman needs to have the CEO of her life, needs to have power with her. C-suite is a hour of conversation that gives women a platform to share when we leave the and you know we make great things. So sweet where all decisions are made. And as a decisions are made where you get to be the CEO of your life. So we want to make sure that you are making those powerful decisions and you are creating the life you desire and deserve. So let me just send this message. What does a CEO do? Of course, a CEO is a chief executive officer. And that, of course, is the person who is making the decisions. A chief executive officer, by definition, executes, meaning they make things happen, they get things done. So, as the CEO of your life, you don't do this by yourself. The C-suite is not for you to be here by yourself, but be among those other powerful people who can you to. So I want to make sure that you move. Finally, you may be a CEO, meaning you have gotten to your C-suite in your life. But here's the thing, being a CEO is not static. It is something that you must do all of the time. So it is something that you can always take your CEO career to, or your CEO next, if you will, to the next level. So here in the Creations C-Suite, the Girlfriend's Guide to Being a CEO, it's where women, a few good men, have powerful conversations about real things that matter to real women who are ready to enter the C-suite of their lives. And the C-suite is where women create the lives, careers, and businesses that desire and deserve. And you CEO moves means that you are not only just feeling something, you are doing something, you are learning something. So it's not just about feeling good, learning something, but actually doing something with it. Meaning you make those CEO moves, meaning you're creating circles of influence, because the CEO journey is not a solo one. It is one that is done with a great team, which means you must build your circle of influence. Then you must educate and empower yourself for elevation so that you can optimize your outcome, because we don't want you to just have the conversation. We don't want you to just feel good about what we're talking about, but we want you to make sure that you are able to actually do something with it so that you can be a chief executive officer. So I'm going to ask the question of you, are you ready? Now, we are experiencing some technical difficulties because our speaker who is joining us tonight, another powerhouse who has been with us on this wellness series, where we kicked it off by asking the question about, are we taking care of our minds? Because as a CEO, our most powerful asset is our mindset. So we kicked the series off with that. Then we began to we've talked about spirituality and wellness and how we need to ask Jesus to fix it, but then we can also go and get a therapist as well. We also have looked at fitness, the intersection of fitness and wellness, and how those things go together, and how wellness derives from, contributes to, or can be impacted by our relationships, breakups, because those are things that have an impact on us. And then we, on last week, talked about how our jobs can make us crazy. So I'm really excited about tonight's episode, where we're going to be talking about balancing our wellness. Girl, get it together. Because as a CEO of our lives and as CEOs of our businesses, we are often trying to balance everything. It's like we are balancing eight different plates on a high wire, so not only are we balancing trying not to fall off that high wire, but we are also balancing so that we're balancing what we are carrying, loads that we carry, the loads that we carry in our lives, in our personal lives, in our professional lives, our social lives, and taking care of ourselves. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, so that are not running ourselves crazy, trying to keep ourselves from crazy. And that's not crazy. I know it does. So we're going to talk about equilibrium tonight, and hopefully our speaker will be able to join us. Otherwise, I'll have to conversation by myself, because that's the way CEOs do. When things don't work out, we go to plan B, then we go to plan C, then we go to plan D. So we're going to work this out, and hopefully she will be able to get back on. But in the meantime, I want to talk about this concept of balance, because a lot of times as CEOs we think about balance in time, in terms of time. We are looking at the amount of time we're spending in the different segments of our lives, how much time we spend at work. Because let's be honest, whether you own your own business or whether you work in a company, you are spending more time in your business, work on business in the whatever the vehicle is, that allows us to be able to make us, not money all out of go to work for. And so we begin to think about balance, how we spend time and where we spend our time. Well, the thing that remember about balance is, first of There we go. All right.
All
So I
right.
think I am back on. Okay. We were experiencing some technical difficulties, and that's just kind of how life goes. When you experience those difficulties, you just got to keep on going until you get it. So now we've got our guest on, and I'm on. So let's get back. What I was saying before we experienced that major technical difficulty was this concept of balance and equilibrium. And a lot of times we think about experiencing balance as a matter as a matter of equal parts. I need to spend as much time with my family as I do at work, or the social things that I am committed to, or whatever it is that we're trying to do. But I want to begin to embrace the concept of balance in terms of equilibrium, meaning my personal definition of equilibrium or balance as it relates to trying to handle it all is that there's no one area of your life that dominates to the detriment of others, meaning that we need to stop obsessing with time and really begin to focus on impact, quality, and influence. So that's just something I just wanted to preface. We're going to have our mental health specialist to talk about it from a wellness perspective, but that was just my little perspective as a coach, something that I do with my own personal life, something that I do with my clients, but helping us to reshift our focus from obsessing over the amount of time we're spending in the different quadrants of our life, if you will, or the different areas of our life, and really begin to look at the influence, the impact, and the quality. Because you can spend 10 hours a day with your family and not impact them in a positive way and not influence them in a positive way. You can spend 10 hours at work and be and let's get out of this quagmire of time obsession and begin to focus on making sure that we are experiencing with impact, with positive impact, influence, and really quality. Looking at the quality of the experiences that we have. So that was just my little segue as we were trying to get our speaker on, but she is on. We have none other than Shelia Rivers, who is continuing this series on wellness. And tonight, of course, we're focusing on balance, the ubiquitous search for balance. And I'm going to turn it over to her, and we're going to let Shelia tell us who, the what, and the why. Who you are, what you do, and why you are making CEO moves. And after all that technical, I need a little swig of wine.
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Shelia Rivers, LCSW. I'm the owner and chief therapist at Rivers Psychotherapy Services. And we are located here in Gulfport, Mississippi. I am super excited this afternoon. What we do, basically educate individuals and treat individuals with mental illness or some type of mental disorder. Or sometimes you're just trying to balance your life. Sometimes you will come and see me to help you balance your life. The why is I also have to, as a CEO, I practice this balance. And so in my art to perfect this balance, there are several lessons that I have learned personally along the way that I want to be able to pass on, not just to my patients, but to other women that are also trying to balance their life in this aspect.
Yes. All right. So, we're going to talk about this quest for balance. And as I was sharing with the audience while we were trying to get you on, you heard the last little part of it is, what is balance? What does that mean? I've shared my little 2 cents about what I think balance is. Again, from my perspective, it's not focusing on time, but on impact, influence, and quality. But I would love to hear your perspective as a mental health professional, as a mental wellness specialist, if you will, but just from a mental wellness perspective, what exactly does balance mean and what should we be focusing on?
And so when I talk about balance for mental health, I try to concentrate on about 8 areas of our life. And I know people say 8, oh my gosh, like Am I really that much out of balance? And a lot of times we think about mind, body, and soul, but there are a few other areas that to keep us balanced in our mental health, our emotions, our spirituality, our intellect, physical, our environmental, finance, occupational, and our social. So I usually
all right. So I just want to make sure everybody caught those 8. So the first one was
emotional.
So these are plates. Remember I talked about those 8 plates you got on that live wire? First one's emotional.
Yes. The second one is spiritual, and that's like not necessarily a religion, but a sense of purpose and being. So spirituality. And intellectual is going to be your creativity and your knowledge base. Okay. Physical is going to be your physical wellness. That's, of course, self-explanatory. Environmental. Yes. Environmental is going to be your space that you occupy. And that could be in your car. It could be in your office. It could be a small place, a room in your home that you have just designated just for you. Finance. And of course, that's being financially satisfied about where you are financially. We go and talk to investment brokers, things of that sort, and they, tell us we need to have X amount of dollars in an account for X amount of months if we want to, be able to live successfully in this financial place, or find out where you are financially. Occupational, are you, and we talked about occupational health. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. That was last week. We talked about occupational. So your choice of work, is it contributing something positive or negative for mental health, well-being, and your social life? That connection of being and belonging to a productive place in a society, integrity, values, beliefs, things of that sort. Where do you fit in this piece for social peace?
So that is a lot to balance. That's a lot to handle. So I hope you have the magic answer for how we're able to literally, because we only got 2 little hands. 2 little hands. How are we going to balance all 8 of those areas of our lives?
And so there is no magic trick. Everybody has their own sense of balance. Okay. So I can't give you a step 1 through 12 formula to follow as far as balance is concerned, but making sure all of those areas are in a healthy place. Because I can tell you, when one is off, something else off also. Let's just take finance. When my finances off, my thought process is not as clear. Okay. I remember being a single mom. Huh?
I said, tell me about it, because when you're trying to feed 5,000 with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, Jesus.
Right. I remember being in a place as a single mom. That was the one thing that I actually hated. And I'm still a single parent, but the finances are better, And I remember being in that place and spending hours trying to figure out a budget, or how am I going to take care of myself and my little babies on such a limited income. But it contributed to my physical, because I have this knot in my chest. Also, along with my emotional health, of not being able to sleep well, not eating productively. So it does play a part in this whole balance thing. So it throws you off in several places. Occupational wise, you don't function as well when you've got things lingering in this whole thing about bosses. And I think I said this last week, where they say you need to leave your problems in this little imaginary box at the door and come and work for us. That doesn't happen. That's the most ridiculous statement that any employer could ever make to someone that is working for them.
Right. Because because I think the meaning behind that is to not allow it to to work to the detriment of what your purpose is at work, but still it's a function. It's an integral part of who you are, because, one of the things that I've had to learn to appreciate, when I was in a corporate environment, for example, and even when working with clients or just working with different colleagues in different situations, is, the person that you get that day, the person that you're interacting with, is the product of whatever's going on at home, honestly. Mm-hmm. And you can't just shut those things out, because, it shows up in their stress levels, how they're able to process information, whether they process it at all. And so, you have to take, one of the things that I have to commit to doing as someone who wants to be a productive part of any relationship, professional, personal, whatever, is to think about, wow, let me just take a step back and see what is impacting this person before I take it personally.
Yes.
And how can, we balance what's going on with them or what we need to go through, because sometimes you've got to get people through whatever it is that they're dealing with so they can focus enough to be productive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I totally agree with that. And sometimes we don't take the time to say, hey, I just noticed you're, everything okay? Just something as simple as, and they may say, I'm good, and not want to share that part of them, especially in that place. But I want to start with our emotional health first, since that was our number one, and just kind of talk about our ability to cope effectively with life and building satisfying relationships emotionally. Being able to maintain and improve activities that we are involved in, leisure activities. Do you isolate yourself sometimes because of your emotions? Like, I really just want to be bothered with anybody. Maybe you do need to be bothered with people. Yeah. You need to be out. And that's a part where, you become disconnected and isolated when we have things that are going on. And so one of the things that you should be doing in your emotional health is using as many as your senses as you possibly can, like your smell, touch, taste, sight, and sound in your emotional health. So, the aroma in your home or in your office, what does that smell like? Listening to music, what type of music are you listening to? Is it speaking something positive to you? Does it send you to a relaxing place in your mind? Is it peaceful? Is it sad love stories and you have you're having problems in your relationship? That may not be wise to listen to music with words to it. You may want to tap into music without words to it, to not remind you of that relationship that sends your emotions to a place where you just sometimes can't deal. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's real interesting, how you, tell that, we have to think about involving all of our senses in our emotional health, and, because, whether you are in a wealthy place versus a dark place can have an impact on your emotions. And, it's something that as CEOs of our lives, we have to be aware of and be conscious of and make those decisions to shift to, because this was something so great. I saw from one of my friends on Facebook today, and the post was something to the effect of, I'm living my best life and I refuse to deal with negative people who want to pull me back down to a place that I go. I think we have to make the decision to do and give ourselves permission to do, recognize that we don't have to apologize for influencing the things that we take in, right, and making choices around that. Yeah.
Yes.
So you talked about, so what's the next thing?
The next one is our spirituality. And this one is kind of really my favorite, and finding purpose and your sense of self. just being connected, having clear values, some self-confidence, high self-esteem, that feeling of inner peace when you have actually done all of your emotional work here. And so you can be peaceful within yourself and finding experiences of hope and um, in touch with other people and helping other people. A sense of belonging that comes through maybe volunteering or being involved with some organization, sorority, fraternity, or some group at church or something at work that you're doing, that doesn't necessarily pay you per se, but just because out of the goodness of your heart, you do these things and finding that sense of purpose.
Yeah. So having a meaning in life is something that makes a huge difference because, we all, I always think about people as they age and how many times you can have someone who's very vibrant and then age, they just kind of get to a point where they just withdraw, and our minds and bodies and spirits, I believe, experience atrophy when we don't have a reason to be, a raison d'etre, as they say, a reason to be. We all need to mean something. I've just seen the mental decline that happens in elderly people once they feel that they don't have a meaning, a reason. And talking about spirituality, I'm using this analogy of how we have to feel connected to the world around us in order to find that spirituality. Because you can go to church every day and not be connected.
Yes.
So you can spend church every day of the week and for every event that they have, but if you're not connected and you're not getting something out of it, learning something, connecting with people, then you're not going to experience the full impact and influence and quality that you would otherwise. So I love that you point out that this is not necessarily about religion as much as it is this connection to a meaning for your life that's greater than you.
Yes, exactly. And I love that part. And what's really beautiful about that in therapy, when you when I start watching people find who they are, that's one of the questions I ask, especially to my single moms that come in and finding their kids are growing up and going away, and their life is changing, their new chapter. So I'll ask the question, who are you? Not necessarily just a mother, but who are you? What do you like? Do you enjoy, going out dancing? Do you enjoy knitting? I don't know, but I challenge women, try stuff you've never tried before.
Right. I think that I am grateful for, but it also makes my life quite meaningless that, I have always been quite courageous and adventurous and have never been afraid to try new things if that meant doing something by myself. Yes. And I had an opportunity today to kind of write up, working on, like I'm a coach, but I still work with a coach, and I'm getting caught up on some assignments that I've had really a year old, but we're not really gonna focus on that. But anyway, I was supposed to have done this literally about a year ago, and but finally working on it. But I listed out all the experiences that I've had, and one of the fondest memories I have is the summer I spent in New York City by myself. I went after I graduated from college. I spent a summer in New York, worked at a New York law firm, and didn't know anybody. I met people once I got there, but didn't know anybody. And that was one of the best things, that great preface for how I've approached a lot of other things, because I wasn't afraid thank God, to go there by myself. And I wasn't afraid. I went all over New York by myself. But that's something, whether it's literally going to a new place or going to a city. I travel the world by myself. I've been to Europe by myself, crazy like that. But
I love
it. Experience. So we have to be willing to, because balance, we're talking about all this in the balance, but balance is really about movement. A lot of times we think about it as something that's static, but if you think about like a person who is literally on live wire, they are moving their bodies in relation to the wind, in relation to physics, in relation. It's a constant movement. You don't get balance by standing still. You get balance by your movement. So that's just something that I just want to encourage women out there. If you can't be afraid to try new things. And if you want to achieve balance, it takes you to move to it, move toward it, and keep moving. It's something that doesn't happen magically, even though we love a magic pill. Yeah. But it is something that requires your movement. And so before we move to the next point, I did want to mention our sponsor for the episode was brought to you by is where C.E.O. their lives. Are professional development, strategic and organizational performance excellence strategies. So there you can participate in training, in coaching, and get accountability support for great execution. Remember, CEOs make great things happen. So you want to make sure you are able to remember, great CEOs, they work with the great and sweet women at work. You find a great coach that can help you to achieve your dream. So go over to discovertheceo.com. Again, that's www.discovertheceo.com to schedule your strategy session to figure out your plan for getting into your C-suite. So with that, let's go back over to Shelia Rivers, and you can tell us, what is the next plate? Because remember, we've got these 8 plates that we are balancing. What is the next plate?
The next plate is physical. And so exerting energy, being active, healthy nutrition, and adequate sleep. Okay?
Ah, that's like Don Quixote. Looking for sleep. Oh my gosh. Can we ever get enough sleep? I think I'm so permanently sleep deprived. I don't know that I can ever get caught up.
I was talking to my staff today, and my sleep pattern has gotten better. Because I was sleeping about 3 to 4 hours a night. Yeah, and functioning on that. So we're up to 5 or 6.
Look at you.
I know, like improvement. 5 or 6 nights. 5 or 6 hours. And but that's about 4 nights a week. And then the rest I'm getting about 7. So
that's awesome.
Yes, that's awesome. So it's, and I can tell you that it definitely improves the clarity that I have when, in the morning, I'm up, I'm ready to go. I'm a little more cheerful, and I don't have to force that cheer. And my endurance throughout the day is so much better, whereas I would start to, oh my gosh, I think I need a cup of coffee about 2:00, then I'm still able to, function a little bit more. But it is vitally important for us. And your physical health could be something as simple as, doing some sit-ups or some jumping jacks, or scheduling a yoga class, one which I have not made, but I plan on getting back, Toya. A bike ride, jumping rope. It could be anything. Walking around the block when you take your break, for lunch, if it's not scorching hot outside. Today it was like 101 here. But
oh my goodness.
yeah. So you have to incorporate things in your life that are active, even if it means you walking up and down your stairs in your house. You're still in the air condition. Mm-hmm. And, depending on how many flights of stairs you have in your home, just set your pace, do 10 or 12 of those sets.
Yes.
Up and down your stairs. That's physical activity.
Yes. And that we have to remember is, being able to find synergy of what it do, because actually joy for me is like, and I couldn't, because I had to study from 8 a.m. and so it just my whole schedule. I know not to push my body when I'm not getting enough sleep, because I ain't trying to be dead. So, but
right.
Find energy. So, like I want to tone my tummy, right? So I've decided that I want to do daily affirmations, which is part of my spirituality, my emotional health. So I've been listening to you. And so I do my affirmations while I'm doing my sit-ups. And so it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Because I always try to kill 1 bird with 2 stones. I mess it up. But anyway, but that's the thing that as a CEO, you've got to figure out, how do you find synergy among your wants and your needs, so that, you're not having to schedule a whole nother hour of physical activity, but how can you incorporate it in what you do?
Yes. And so my trainer has given me a workout for the week. And so I have X amount of squats, I have X amount of jumping jacks, I have, X amount of different, but it's activities that I do in the house anyway. So I have to, I really have to make it fit to my lifestyle. I don't have the time to go to the gym. I'm probably not going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just going to be realistic when you set these goals, which is going to be vitally important, because if it seems like a chore or something that you just terribly don't want to do, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do it. And not do it effectively. You're not going to enjoy it. But I enjoy this. She makes it fit into my schedule. So if it's 30 minutes that I have to work out, then it's 30 minutes during the week. But on the weekends, I have something extra that I need to do, because that's when I have my extra time. So I take 30 minutes and I do these X amount of jumping jacks or X amount of squats or whatever, but I split them up throughout the day. So if I have 100 squats throughout the day to do that I've been assigned, then I might do 25 now. I'll do 25 when I get out of bed. I'll do 25 when I'm brushing my teeth. I'll do 25 when I'm standing at the sink loading the dishwasher or whatever. And, so you can make it fit within your life. Do 25 before you go to the bathroom to pee. You got to squat anyway.
Yeah.
Do 25 before you pee. Knock it out before you pee. And that could be just like your challenge. We're like, no, I got to do these 25 before I pee. Make it realistic. We got to make it realistic for us.
But seriously, not being like TL. That's the way, as we were told on our floors. And so you try to do the process whole thing, that's and make it light of it, but seriously about things, and sometimes you have fun things, but it's really about being creative and being strategic and figuring out, can I do less time? Not multitasking and tasking. You're getting great functionality and great impact outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our next one, and then too, I want to add to the physical part. Then also, even if we are paying attention to our physical aspects here, that not dealing with our physical could lead to, heart attacks, stroke, high blood pressure. Of course, stress is cardiac arrest is the number one killer in Black women. 57% of us die from heart attacks. So exerting get moving and physical activity here.
Yes.
Our next one is going to be environmental. So making the space that we are in comfortable for us. Okay. One of the things I emphasize here in our office is when they walk in, we don't ever know what kind of problem someone walks in with. So I try to make our space here, even in the office, as comfortable as possible. You can have, come in and get a cup of coffee or some hot tea, or, there's a bottle of water, there's, little snacks throughout the office if you need to grab something, little kind bars. Also from the smell, from the minute you walk in, there's eucalyptus smell in the office. So, and that just does something for you when you walk into your home and it smells like, now you walk into your house and it smells like garbage and, nobody bothered to empty the garbage. Then you're like, what is that? You automatically get the ugly stank face and you're like, what is that smell? What? Nobody took out the garbage. Yeah. So otherwise, when you walk in your home and you smell eucalyptus, exactly. Yes.
And it really, I have to remember to do it, but it really makes a difference. That peppermint and eucalyptus, and it really invigorates my mind when I just put a little spray. I've got a little potpourri thingy on my desk. And sometimes I might sprinkle some or whatever. But it really does help, And I love lemongrass. The smell of lemon, that's my color. That's my smell. Lemon means happiness to me. So I love lemongrass.
And so what I advise some of my patients to do is invest in some diffusers. And so the you can put your lemongrass, you can put, your lavender at night is very calming and relaxing and helps you sleep. So create the environment and create the regimen that says relaxation, calm, peacefulness.
Yes.
And don't be disorganized.
Oh my gosh.
Like your stuff is
y'all don't
I
see my office is organized chaos.
Take a day and put that stuff in folders, put it away in your file cabinets when you get ready for it. And I know sometimes I do work better. If I'm working on a project, I work better when my stuff is out. I get it. I work from the floor. I got papers all over the floor and I am working and it works well for me. Some people do the same thing. I get it. But if you are not using it, put it away, fold the blanket up you had on the couch, lay it across the back side of the sofa, whatever, make your environment as peaceful as you possibly can. So.
So what is our next area, our next plate that we have to have?
And our next one is finance. Finance is one of my most common stressors for people that walk in my office. Finance, when they money funny or there is no money to be funny.
They got more money than money.
Yeah. So that additional worry about the money, that is really big. And trying to figure out an overall financial wellness. Who do I pay? What do I do? And so what I advise during that time is to pay off as much as you possibly can. Some of those things may result, some people think, well, bankruptcy is such a bad thing, it's on your credit, blah, blah, blah. When I look at my patients, mental health wise, if it is going to alleviate the stress that you're having, that you have in your chest, or you keep going to the hospital because you feel like you're having a heart attack, or you got this numbness in your arm and your fingers are now tingling from the stress that you're having or that the finance is causing you, file the bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
You will
Mm-hmm.
recover. Okay. There is life after bankruptcy. People do live after that. Doing things as, not, don't keep adding to your finance issues. So if shopping is your issue, then you need to cut your
don't do retail therapy.
Yes, there's no retail therapy. Retail, and especially if you can't pay for it. So in restructuring, even in my own finance, I started to pay off different things. And so when I would pay it off, if it was a credit card, I'd cut the card up and close it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to adopt the idea, if I can't pay cash for it, I don't need it, even if I charge it.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, oh my gosh, how you do that? Well, you start to live real simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where my love for refurbishing furniture came in. And so I would shop the thrift stores. And so I started refurbishing furniture and absolutely found it very therapeutic.
Yeah.
As one of my hobbies now. So this is my side. I don't even sell it. I just do it for fun.
Yeah.
And that's how I furnished my first office, was off of the refurbished furniture that I had redone, and it was in my house, or I bought a couch and I had upholstered it, or I bought some chairs and I painted them with chalk paint and found that I really love this. So there's certain ways that you can actually utilize thrifty spending if you just need this retail therapy thing that's going on.
Right. And, it's all about making choices. And that's the thing we want you to really tap into the power of as a CEO of your life. It's all about choices. So you can choose to go on extended retail therapy, but then you have to understand the consequences of that. So it's all about choosing, how you're going to manage everything, because honestly, and I don't say this callously, but whether your life is in balance or not, it's all because of choices you've made. Because I was looking at some things like right before this broadcast, I'm kind of exasperated about something I'm dealing with. And then I had to just stop and say, you know what? Everything I'm dealing with at this moment is a product of a choice that I've made. Some of them have been bad choices that have, just because, you make bad choices sometimes in good faith, right? So I've made some bad choices, or some choices that have just not turned out the way I wanted them to, and now has a consequence. And I made some other choices, but everything that you do is all about the choices you make, and you have to accept responsibility for that, and then make decisions about, now that you've made this choice, what choice are you going to make right now so that you're able to get things back in balance, whether it's literally getting your finances back in balance, getting your emotions in balance, getting your career in balance, whatever it is that you're trying to, because remember, it's movement. You're on that live wire, but it's all about the choices you make. So remember that as the CEO of your life, it's all about the choices you make.
Very much so. Very much so. Our next one is occupational, and this is the next to the last one. This is number 7. So I think we're going to make our time tonight. Yes. I know, right? So
I get us all time.
Yeah, I know, right? Occupational wellness, and we talked about that last week. I'm not going to emphasize this a whole lot. If you didn't catch it last week, I think the clip is still up. The video is still up. Dr. Barnes, correct? Go back.
Yes, that's correct. Get replays. You go to csuitewomen.tv, csuitewomen.tv to get the replays.
Yes. And so I think that was a really good version of occupational stress. And I love how Dr. Barnes titled it is, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. At this workplace, I'm trying not to be postal, but y'all about to make me lose my mind. And it is really not worth it. We work for those folks 8 to 5. Or if you work for yourself, then you need to make the environment that you live in and work in and come to every single day as stress-free as possible. So having that balance that involves work and leisure time and coworkers and dealing with attitudes, how much of that can you control? If you can't control it, this my little space, and I control this little space. That's all I control is right here. I can't control the guy down the hallway with the real nasty attitude, and he giving me short answers and cutting me off and not sending emails and not following a procedure. I can't do nothing about him. I am only in control of the space that I have right here.
Yeah, and I want to just put a pin in that for just a second. I'm not going to get us way off, but I just think that this is something that, because you talked about a little bit when you were talking about balancing your environment, but we do have to make the decisions to protect and defend our space. I mean, seriously protect and defend, because, one of the positions I've taken, and it may be, I may be a little bit more drastic than I need to be, but like I have a travel ban list of my own about certain people who can and cannot come to my house. And I'm dead serious about it. They on a travel ban list. And it's because, if you got a funky attitude,
yes,
and I'm serious about it. I am dead serious. When you get on that travel ban list, you ain't coming across the threshold of 4407. You're just not. And that's something that we have to really make decisions around and defend. And it could be just people who don't respect your space, who don't respect you. You've got to, as the CEO of your life, defend and protect your space, because the people who are in your physical space, whether it's at work, in the workplace, at home, wherever, they affect your emotional space. They affect your spiritual space. It affects your physical space, and eventually, it affects your wellness. So defend and protect your space. Yes. Everybody ought to have a travel ban list for their personal space. Put some folk name on it, and don't let them in. Anyway.
Right. Yes. And I am so in agreement with that. And it's okay to disconnect from dysfunctional people if it means they're your family. Like if you know they're dysfunctional and they bring you bad energy and they are affecting one of these 8 areas or several of these 8 areas that you're trying to keep balanced, then disconnect. It's okay if you disconnect and take the moment to work on you. Now, I don't want you to be a contributor to one of these areas of somebody else's life where you're the dysfunctional person. So take a moment, take a step back, work on yourself. And I mean, really work on yourself. So if that means you need to contact somebody like me, or, to say, look, I don't know how to disconnect from this person. I know they're toxic for my life. They are affecting my finance. They are affecting when I go to work. I can't think straight. They are affecting my emotions. My emotions are all over the place. Then you know that it's time that you don't need to be connected to those type of people, especially if you're going to have this balance in your life. And it is okay for you to say, you know what? I really think you're a great person, but I need to disconnect from you. And you don't necessarily ever have to tell them that, but you can admit that to yourself and be really okay with saying, this is not a good place for me, and I'm okay with disconnecting.
Right. So, because, I'm at a stage in my life where my mental wellness is in a precarious state because I've been through some things. So, I recognize the precariousness and the fragility of my mental wellness. So I am very vigilant. I'm more vigilant than I have been ever in my life about protecting, because I know it ain't gonna take too much. You tap me, I might go on over the edge. So we have to do that.
Yes. So don't push me, cause I'm close to
the edge. I'm trying not to. I messed it up a little bit, but y'all got it. All right, anyway.
Yes. So we got one more, guys. So our last one is our social wellness, and that's that sense of being connected and belonging in a particular group. Okay, not necessarily a group of people, but just in a society wellness kind of place. This involves creating and maintaining healthy support systems, healthy networking systems. I went to last week, I went to New Orleans, and it's on a Wednesday night. There was a group of women, Tanya Ralph, and she's a social worker there. And she did a power hour seminar, attitudes and something. I just put her card away here. But it was so powerful that I was in the room with Dr. So-and-so, with Dr. So-and-so, with the owner of blah, blah, blah physical therapy systems, and salon owner so-and-so, so-and-so, and just being connected to like-minded women was absolutely beautiful. And I love that. And everybody there was positive. It was positive energy. People wanted to know what you did. Folks wanted to know, how can we connect with you? What can we do? This was just not one person, but this was every woman in the room. I hated to even leave because the energy was so positive. So sometimes you have to deliberately put yourself in those places. I didn't know one person there. I don't live in New Orleans. I live an hour and 15 minutes away, but yet I drove over on a Wednesday night to be connected to women in my circle. And I absolutely loved it. So sometimes we have to do that on purpose.
Right. And the thing is, I mentioned this at the beginning, being a CEO is not a solo project. It's all about making meaningful connections. And the first C in CEO moves is creating your circles of influence. And our socialization is so important to us, because one of the things, if I could choose a downside of being an entrepreneur, is the isolation. Because, I spend a lot of time in my home office. And right now it's just me here. My son will be back soon. But, I spend a lot of time in isolation working. And, we need that socialization. We need to be sure that it's healthy socialization, but recognizing that we need it, and that as the CEOs of our lives, we have to be deliberate in creating those circles of influence, being around people who are going to stimulate us, people who are going to hold us accountable, people who are going to give us the kind of energy that we need, as opposed to that energy that we need to get away from. So, of course, we've gotten to the end of the hour. We did it. Boom, you got through all your points, and I didn't interrupt and do all my shenanigans too much, But I get excited, get hyped when we're talking about these issues. So, but I do want to just thank you so much for helping us. We've got one more. No, this is the last. This is the last series. Yeah, this is it. This is the last one in our mental wellness series. And we're getting ready to begin a series on finances, which is interesting, or not by chance that we talked about financial wellness as part of our balancing movements. But we're going to move into the finance series next. So, but I just want to thank you so much, Shelia, for being a part of the conversations from a C-suite. You have really brought some great knowledge. You've given us great strategies, because she's helped us to feel something, learn something, and do something. And so I just want to give you just an opportunity to give some closing remarks around the importance of our mental wellness. Tell us how to keep in contact with you, and any other remarks you want to leave with the C-suite audience as we complete our series on mental wellness.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity over these last 4 or 5 weeks. I think we've been, and it has been an experience for me, also in doing this on Facebook. So this was also an experience for me, and being able to interact with you. And we don't practice this. This is like, we just go from the cuff.
Yeah, it is. Because it's a conversation. And the thing is, and I hope that you take away from this, is we're having a conversation. I got my wine. Most of the time she got her coffee or tea or something. She had me looking like I'm a lush or something. I always have my wine. But anyway, we have a good conversation. We're learning, we're stimulating each other in a way that we can learn, feel, and do something. So again, I just want to thank you so much, Shelia, for being a part of Conversations from the C-Suite. We wish you well, no pun intended. And we look forward to having you on our show again in the future. So don't be a stranger. Tune in. Yes. Even when you're not going to be on the show. But thank you so much for bringing all of your wisdom to our audience. So everybody, let's give Shelia a virtual round of applause and thank her so much for being a part of Conversations from the C-Suite. So thank you. We appreciate you and love you.
Love you back.
All right, all right. And of course, tonight's episode was brought to you by C-Suite Women's Network, where you can go to find those strategies to help you to be the CEO of your life. Please go over to www.discovertheceo.you to schedule your strategy session so that you can begin your plan on getting towards C-Suite. And we just want to thank you so much for being a part of Conversations from the C-Suite, because remember, this is not about having conversations, but making powerful moves. The impact is in what you do. So we want you to feel something, learn something, do something, create those circles, make those CEO moves, create those circles of influence, educate and empower yourself, but make sure that you operationalize what you learn so you can optimize your outcomes. Whether you report to a CEO or you are the CEO of your business, you are always the CEO of your life. Let's make sure that you are using these strategies to make choices that get you to where you need to be. So remember, the power is not in the conversation, but in your CEO moves. Don't just talk about it, be about it, baby. Don't wait. Remember, wait broke the scales. Now is the best time to do what you know needs to be done to make those CEO moves in your life. And remember, your life is the product of your choices. Choose to be the CEO of your life. I am Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, and I will see you next time in the C-Suite. Remember to tune in Monday nights, 9:30 p.m. to catch Conversations from the C-Suite, the Girlfriend's Guide to Being a CEO. You can always catch replays www.c-suitewomen.com. Until next time.